Hey, Armin, nice to meet you again.
Hey Peter, nice to meet you.
I really have to tell you, I enjoy our weekly exchange.
Yeah, it's fun. It's really interesting. Yes.
You're the first, except women, you're the first person I really miss.
Oh,
If I if I don't see it, if I don't see you.
really?
Oh
Peter.
yeah. You
It's fun.
naughty boy.
For me, I only fix my eyebrows. Yeah.
Uh, so so
Mhm.
what's so what's
But it's
what's
interesting because we come from different positions in archery, and then it's always sometimes we clash, sometimes we agree, but it's really interesting. And even for me, it helps me get things back from my memory, which are buried somewhere, and you normally don't touch it. But through this discussion, you sometimes, this happened to me, whatever, 20 years ago, and then you get there again. It's
You're
interesting.
wrong. You're wrong. You are from a different position in archery. I'm
It depends
from
from
the
where you. It is.
I'm from the I'm in the right place and right position in
Depends on the
archery.
viewpoint, when I stand just in Istanbul on the other side of the bridge, then I'm in the right viewpoint.
If you say Istanbul, my imagination starts rolling. So I think I never were there in Istanbul, but
Yeah, I was only at the airport once,
that's
but I
exactly.
really need to visit it once. Yeah.
Yes, I have to. I have to too.
Me too,
Yeah.
two.
Me too.
Then we already four. It's too much.
For
My math
twos.
is bad. Yeah. How was your week? Everything fine?
Everything fine, except we talked about in the past. Everything is crazy,
Oh yeah, and
but
it's getting worse.
if you're kind of lonely guru, it's okay. So you stay in your home and you don't see anybody, and you're making thoughts of your own, and so it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. The craziness continues and it gets worse. But like in 2020, everybody said, "Oh, let's finish 2020 and then for a new 2021." I said, "Guys, don't look forward. 2021 will be even worse." That was just not the beginning. But no, how can you? It will be done and it will be over by then. Where are we now? 1 year wearing this, but we don't go today. There is that issue.
Yes, and they even ordered the states, Germany, Austria, and European states ordered the vaccines
Of course,
up to 2023. So
yeah.
you
They
don't
said
know.
already most probably every twice or even 3 times, maybe 4 times a year, you need your vaccine.
Yes.
And when a new virus comes, it doesn't help anyway. But hey.
Yes, and they don't know if it protects you. They don't know, and they don't know if it protects you for 3 months or 6 months, or
they don't know anything. I only know if you have the vaccine, you still need to wear your mask, you still need to do social distancing and whatever. But we will all get a vaccine ID or a vaccine pass or whatever. And then we have this two-class society. The vaccine ones, they can still go into the shop, into the supermarket, into the gym, into the swimming facility, and the ones without, they can't. That is what we have to deal with.
Yeah. So you're in big trouble because you can't go to the Turkish bath and where all the girls are.
I think in Istanbul or in Turkey they see it differently and they let us in because I think they have no problem. I think there are more people with a bit brain left than.
Yeah, I hope so. I think so too.
Yeah, I mean they have a history in fighting battles, and they know how to. So it's I don't know.
Yeah,
Germany.
You know what? I'm very excited for the next podcast because we will have Petra Engländer.
Yes, our first guest.
Engländer. Yes, I'm very excited and I'm very curious about what she's gonna telling us.
Exactly. First of all, it's about bow and arrow, but she does natural horseback archery, how she calls it, I think. And she even does horse aikido, so which is very interesting, this Japanese soft
And I also
martial
read
art.
she does dancing or belly dancing or something like this.
Yeah, hey, when you know your body, it's always a good thing, I guess. So we will see.
Yes.
I'm really looking forward, and Petra is excited too that she will joining the next podcast, and then now we start with yes, talk.
Yeah, sounds great.
So it sounds awesome. We're getting better and better in this. Huh? Practice makes perfect.
I hope so.
Today we talk about books. Yes, the major topic, or I think the only topic, or the topic which holds everything together is books about archery. And then it's about which books did you read, which books do you recommend, or what is your takeaway of an individual book? Because sometimes it's only one page or one line in a book, and it's worth it to have it. And other books are completely interesting from the beginning to the end. So that's why it's interesting to see that you show some books which were interesting for you, and I have some books, they were interesting for me. And then we simply talk.
I have to say one thing about this subject. I'm a kind of, I don't know, perfectionist or how you call it. And for some time, I was really interested in boxing. So I collected books about boxing or hunting or something. And when I started archery in 1990, for me, it was very natural because I love books. I had to start to get every book available about archery. And as you know, back then in these days, there were 3 to 4 archery books in German language. And most were on Olympic archery or the classic Eugen Herrigl Zen in the archery, Zen in the art of archery. And there were also from this very nice, I'm sure you remember, Robin Sport shop. They had a very nice catalog, and they published Hunting with the Bow and Arrow in German language from Sexton Pope's classic.
I never read that one.
It's highly recommended. It's a great book.
But you still talk to me even if I didn't read it yet. That's very generous.
Yes, thank you. Because we have a professional connection, so I look over it. But
thank you so much.
Yeah. So I know you're not the guy who is a lot into books. So show me one of your books.
Yeah, long time ago. It was a long time back in Germany. I got then one. I went to a big bookshop and I found one about traditional archery. It was interesting, but it was not really something new for me because I already did it. But it was at least the proof that I do something right. But of course, my books now are not about the Western kind of archery. It's more like, my way of archery. I have, as example, a really, really interesting book. And look at this is a really thick one. And when you look how small it's written, there's a lot to read. And it's about the Persian archery and swordsmanship, historical martial arts, and in Iran. This is really, really interesting. This is a very good source for everybody who is interested in this Asiatic way of martial arts, archery, sword fighting. That's really quite expensive, but it's worth it.
I have to confess, I don't have this one.
No,
I have
it's
really
okay.
lot, but I don't have this one.
It's okay. I will still talk to you. Don't worry.
On what enlightenment you got out of this book? Tell me one thing.
I can't tell. I didn't read it fully. I only read the archery section, and then it's of course interesting to see how they describe now the thumb release and how they trained for it. That they had these big bows with weights on it, that they build up the muscles to draw heavier poundages and stuff like this. So that was interesting, but it's simply when you're really into it to make it specifically like they did in this time, then it's interesting. For me, it's simply good to know, but it's not my way of shooting. Not exactly my way of shooting.
And is it a transcribed old book, or is it a new book?
It's a new book. It's from Dr. Manu Sher. We need my glasses then, because this is too small.
Yeah.
Manu Sher Moshtaq Khorazani. I think he even lives in Frankfurt in Germany, and he really, and when you see these photos are all new, and this is, he read, he studied all the old things, and then he simply recreated it and figured out how it worked and whatever. So it's really a proven thing, not simply, okay, this is something lost. And then he simply shows everything, application and techniques, and whatever with the shield, and it's really interesting. Great. But I said I didn't come fighting with a knife, you know, and it's really interesting.
And he relates to all the sources.
Yes, to old Persian sources of archery.
I understand.
I didn't mark it now, but you simply believe me that now and then he shows even nice all this old weaponry and stuff like this. So it's really a very comprehensive. So if you're interested in this Asiatic way of archery, this is really a very good source.
Yeah, that sounds great. This looks like a really good book.
Yeah. Oh, heavy. Nothing to read in the bed, you know, because it's quite heavy. So now you.
As I mentioned before, one of the, or maybe the first book who really got me into archery and also bow hunting was, this is an old edition. I don't know if it's okay. It's hunting with the bow and arrow.
Okay.
By Sexton Pope, and it was back then, I think in the 1980s, by Bear Archery, by Fred Bear.
Okay.
And the original book was published in 1923, and there are a lot of good stories inside. The best friend of Saxton Pope was Arthur Young, who was an exceptional archer. Who made expeditions in the North Pole area. He hunted walrus. They hunted grizzly bear and black bear together. They were kind of hooked by the English longbow. They went into a lot of museums and shows, and also tested old Tatar bows, old Indian, Native American Indian bows, and so on. And as I like to show you, there are a lot of nice illustrations in there of an English longbowman, or how you, it's out of glue, this book, but how you make feathers, how you make arrow points and stuff.
And that was your inspiration then, or you?
Yes, after I read this, I started with a compound bow, switched to a Fred Bear recurve bow, a Kodiak recurve bow, and after I read this, I had to have a long bow.
Yeah, of course. So don't let me read it, otherwise I need to have a long bow too.
Yes, be prepared. Yeah.
Okay.
And okay, do you have another one?
One sentence which was remarkable for you that you remember for all the times in this book?
It's I don't know. There are a lot of it's written very romantic, and you feel the spirit of the longbow archers, and a big chapter inside is about Ishi, you know, this last of his tribe, and he was friends with Dr. Pope. Dr. Pope was a medical professor on the Berkeley University in California. And when they found Ishi, they brought him to the university, and he was a kind of living object of study. But they were also friends. And it's a lot about Indian archery, as a native Indian, Native American Indian archery, and so on.
I understand.
And so I don't know yet now any special sentence, but
that's fine.
It's highly recommended. I think it's still available. It's a great book. and you know, back then they traveled to the Yellowstone and said, okay, we have to hunt grizzly bear now with our long bows. And one story beside of it is, I think in 1926 or so, Dr. Pope and Arthur Young and Stuart Edward White, who was a rifle hunter, went by ship to Africa because Dr. Pope has seen an Assyrian relief where they hunted lions with the bow and arrow. And he said, we have to do this. And by a steam, a steamship, a big ship, they drove, everyone on the journey made himself 1,000 arrows. And then they went to Kenya, if I remember right, and hunted lions there with English longbows and broadhead arrows and so on. So these were kind of crazy folks too. There are a lot of interesting stories because the lions charged them, and then they said, we will die if we do this, if we're going on to do this. And then they had an old Ford T, this first pickup trucks, and shot from the car at the lions, and the lion charged the cars, and they had a puppet, a dummy puppet they threw out from the back of the car, so the lion will smash the puppet and don't charge the car again. And so very crazy stories. Wonderful stories.
Crazy.
These were real men. If you search in YouTube for Arthur Young, Arthur Young did an old movie in the 1920s. The movie was called, I think, Alaskan Adventures. And you see Arthur Young with his kind of cowboy hat and French Indian suit, crouching behind a bush, and there along are coming 3 grizzly bears. And he just stands up and shots the first grizzly bear into the chest. So you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it. No idea you ever would do it. But they were this kind of men.
Crazy. Yep.
Yeah.
It's like it is. So okay, good. My next book is interesting. This one is in German language. It's from a German guy, Henrik Wiethase. And it is his own Wiethase Verlag. It's Danurvidia. And this is about the old Indian way of archery, which is really interesting. And I think in the last podcast I mentioned already, when we were talking about different kinds of draws, when you see they have all kinds of draws. They do pinch grip, they do 3-finger, they do thumb release, whatever works for the situation they're up to. So they simply change. They don't say this is only one way to shoot, or you only have the arrow on the left side. They shoot arrow on the right side, arrow on the left side, different pinch grip techniques, whatever
but
works.
I don't agree.
For the situation.
Agree. Why? I'm sure you have, it doesn't depends which method, but you have to train one method extensively to get really good at it. If you say you change the grip in any situation, I can't believe
I shoot three different draws. I shoot 3-finger, I shoot thumb, and I shoot Slavic, and I'm in all 3 good. So no matter what situation would be and whatever, I would succeed in all 3 different ways. And even last time I tried pinch draw, this from the Native Americans, the terrier, what you call it, where you simply help with the middle finger and the index finger a little to pull a stronger bow. Even this one, I'm very good in it. I never practiced it. So
you're kind of genius, because I only shoot 3 fingers and I'm bad at it.
Hey, it's all a matter of practice. You still have time. You have nothing to do, but go out and shoot. And it's, it's different when you see that did not only hunt. You know, when you go hunting, or when you bring the example, okay, when I go hunting, I do this. Okay, I would do maybe the same, but they went hunting for birds as example, and then they had pellet bows, where there's a small pouch, and then they have these clay pellets, and then they shoot pellets. If you would shoot this, first of all, you could not shoot 3 fingers. So you need to have a pinch draw, and then you need to bring this hand out of the way. Otherwise, you shoot the pellet directly in your hand. So that's why different ways of bows and hunting and whatever require maybe different kinds of techniques, I think.
Show me again this cover from this book. So now I know where you got your miniskirt ideas from.
No, not really. What I found very interesting in this book is when in these old times, when they started training an archer, they first checked what is your strong hand. I'm a right-handed guy. Then they trained him first left-handed until he could do it perfectly. Then he swapped to the right hand and could do it directly, perfectly with the right hand. Otherwise, when you start with a strong hand, right hand, you think, oh, I start shooting the left hand, then it has a learning curve. And they didn't have this because they simply shot them directly, both-handedly in all possible directions, and they were very successful. So
when you start with I think I have one from this Vitase about African archery, if I remember well.
Yeah, he did a few even about different release aids in ancient times. It's very, very well known. He knows a lot of stuff.
So I show you another big book.
Show me yours and I show you mine.
You know this one?
I go ahead too. The Grey Goose Wing. Okay.
By E.G. Heath. And this is a real classic. They're wonderful. Just a moment. I don't know. Wonderful illustrations and stuff inside. And, you know, it's a big book. And I think it's today it's also a very rare book.
Okay.
I can't say too much about it. The subtitle is The History of Archery. So it's from the very beginnings of archery, from native archery and so on. It's a very big and nice book. And it tries to, it's a kind of overview. So you can't learn a lot about special archery, but you learn about a lot about history and different archery in different continents and different areas, and so it's a great book. It's a great big book.
Big book. Okay, then I continue with a small one. You know, I can't battle your big one now. You know, then I show you my small one. You showed me a big one. I show you my small one.
Okay.
It's another one from Henrik Wiethase. This is Aus der Stille Pfeile, out of the silence arrows. And this is more there are no pictures in it, simply written what he did when he teaches someone and what he does when he shoots. And he said sometimes he only shoots 1 arrow in a month, and it's simply his kind of focus training, because when you have a quiver full of arrows and you normal practice shoot on your, you know, I have another arrow, I shoot bad, I have another one. That's why we at the range, we were talking about it, we shoot maximum 3 arrows. And he sometimes only shot 1 arrow in 1 month. Then imagine how you look forward to this 1 arrow and you do really everything fully aware. Shoot this 1 arrow and then you leave it again. It's a nice idea. So it's an interesting book. But it's a bit more this spiritual stuff. So it's not for you.
Yeah, I know. I really admire Vithase's work in many areas. But on the other hand, I'm not the biggest fan of his spiritual approach. But he did a lot of research, as we said, about Indian and African archery. So no bad comment about it.
But you can't cut out the spiritual part, I guess. It's a whole thing, body, mind, soul. It's always this triangle. When you do something, you always do it with all 3 parts. At least you should do it, in my opinion.
Yes, but as we talked in the past, you can't avoid it. So you can talk about it, but it's no difference if you are a shotgunner, shotgun shooter, trap shooter, pistol shooter, knife thrower, archer, dancer. It's always the same. It's all the same. You have to be into that thing with your whole mind. Otherwise, you can't bring out a good result.
The best in you, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
yeah.
you? I showed you a small one. Now you move.
One of my first books was, here's the date inside, in 1993. I bought this one. It's a very nice book. It is Traditional Bowers of America by Dan Burt Allen. And every chapter is one custom bow maker. Not only custom bow maker, it's let me look about the chapters. It's Fedora's archery, Fredbear archery, Brickham bow hunting, Assenheimer bows, Great Northern, Rota, Elberg. So you have Ben Pearson archery, Howard Hill archery, Scorpion longbow. So all the great, as you like to call them, bowyers back from the 1990s, some are still existing today. There's a chapter of one of every of them, and which bows they produce, and what they talk about archery and bow hunting. And so, I'm a lot in the American way, and the our days bow hunting was founded by Sexton Pope and Arthur Young and Fred Bear and Ben Pearson and Howard Hill, because bow hunting was forgotten. So they reinvented this. They reinvented this as a kind of sports hunting, because of course everybody would hunt with a rifle, of course. And they said, no, we like to have more challenge. We like to put this old weapon
let's say the
field.
forgotten way of hunting, huh?
Yeah.
He doesn't like it. Oh, yeah, now you like it. When Lars Andersen brings something and reinvents something, you don't like it, huh?
No.
As long as from America, it's good, huh?
Because in the Amazonas area, in Papua New Guinea, and somewhere, there are still hunting communities, hunting tribes. So also in Africa. So bow hunting is not forgotten, but in the Western world it was forgotten. And
same.
It's interesting. It's interesting. In Northern America, the Indians used to hunt with the bow and arrow, of course, the native Indians. But the tradition of bow hunting did not grew out of this Indian bow hunting of the Indian tribes, but from Sexton Pope, from the Western. Interesting enough.
Okay.
So
who said so? I have my slightly doubts. I think the Indian culture is a little older than you, long before Sexton Pope used bow and arrow.
But no settler in Montana or somewhere would have the idea to hunt with the bow and arrow like the Indians did, because they had rifles. And so they refounded, they reinvented it. Don't reinvented it, but they made it popular.
Okay. Good.
That's interesting.
Yep. Okay. Good. So me again?
Of course.
Me. Okay, let's start with one book which I really would recommend if you're into Asiatic archery, you're interested. It's Chinese Archery by Stephen Selby. I don't have it here anymore. I think I left it in Germany or somewhere. That's a really interesting book because he writes a lot about what he found, or almost everything he found in all over China about archery and even crossbows. So he really covers the whole spectrum. There are then different ways how to shoot, different schools, different teachers. the one said you need to do this, and the other one said, no, if you do this, you're stupid. So, you know, like a lot that is really, really interesting. And this was for me once when I saw Stephen Selby's video, when he shot a Chinese, like a Manchu bow and with thumb release. And then the next thing was I had to order this book, and I read it for sure 5 times. I read a book once and it's fine, but this one I really read 5 times because it's really interesting.
But one of your girlfriend took it away, I guess.
No, I'm moving a lot, and sometimes I simply leave a big box full of stuff there and said, listen, when I come back, but I never come back. We move forward, we don't go backwards.
And you know, because you mentioned Chinese archery, China is a big country. So even in China, as you say, there are very different forms of archery, of course, because they, from the Mongolians to the Han Chinese, there are a lot of different ways of shooting, I guess.
Yes. And directly to connect now, there's a book from a friend of mine. I don't have the real book. I got it before to cross-read it and make a how do you call it, a forward or something on the back page.
Introduce
he asked me to do it. It's from Scott M. Rodell. He is a really well-known sword fighter, Chinese sword fighting. He does Tai Chi and he does Chinese archery. And he translated a manual about the traditional Manchu archery of the Qing Imperial Guards. So this is a little different than the others too, but it's very well written with training and with pictures of these archers and what they did and what not. So this is really a gem if somebody is interested in these different kinds of shooting, with drawings of how to hold the bow, how to hold the string and stuff like this. Really interesting.
Good
I only don't have the real book because he never sent me one, but I think he has it as a PDF or e-reader or something. But I got it before to read it. So, but that's really interesting to read. So
looks good.
That's really, and he's.
Let me see what.
The thing is, Scott Rodell, I said he's a sword fighter. He's a martial artist, so he has this approach from a martial art. And archery is a martial art. There was always a martial art too. You kill something or someone with it. So, and he got this when he translates then something from Chinese, then he has at least the understanding from the viewpoint of a martial artist. If you give a Chinese text of archery to some translator who has no idea of body physics and whatever, you might get a different result. But he really knows what he's doing, and that's why this book is really good.
Yep.
So now you.
Looks great. I'd like to have it. Let me look. Maybe it's not a special archery book, but I have an English edition, but it don't looks very good because it's, you know, you can write.
Peter, you should know me by now. I don't judge a book by its cover.
I see. As long as it is just 17 years old, you like it. Just a joke. No, but I have a German edition here. You can see more.
17 is illegal. You should know me better, Peter.
Yeah, I see. Sorry. This book is by Sascha Siemel, Alexander Siemel, who was from Latvia, or how you call it?
Latvia.
Latvia, yes. And as you see on the cover, he used to, the book is called, in German it's Der Weiße Tigrero, in English it's Tigrero. And he went to Brazil and he heard about an old Indian who used to hunt jaguars with a spear. The term for this spear was sagaya. As you see in the picture, it was a really big spear with a big blade, you see.
Wow.
And he also was a bow hunter and an archer. And I think he fought, and there's one little clip, one short clip on YouTube, if you type in Sascha Siemel, where you can see how he fights a charging jaguar with this spear.
Okay.
You know, I got how you call it, goose skin when I see it, because you know a jaguar is a different animal than a leopard. It's not 80 kilograms; it's about 150. It's a really big cat, and if we ever met, I like to give you this book to read, because he was a guy, and his daughter Alexandra Seymour, his name was Alexander Sasha, and her name, she was born in Brazil where he used to live, and we are friends on Facebook. So she's on Facebook, her daughter is on Facebook. And when I wrote my Legends in Archery, there's one chapter inside about Sasha Seymour, and he was friends with Arthur Young and with a lot of the old archery greats. And when he left Brazil, he used to live in Pennsylvania in the United States. And his granddaughter lives in London, and so I was invited once to London to his granddaughter. So a crazy guy, a crazy guy. You can't imagine. You can a real man's man.
I understand. Good.
Yes.
Next
we
book.
Have another one.
I almost didn't want to talk about this one anymore. It's The Way of Archery by Justin Ma. He's a Chinese guy, and Jie Tian. Jie Tian most probably. And there is in this book Chinese Archery. I told you there is one
great book. I have it too. Great book.
There's one part in it of this Gao Ying method, of this general Gao Ying, and they simply transcribed or translated it in their knowledge, in their way.
Yep.
And they show everything there from the training and whatever is all necessary.
Wonderful book. I really love it.
It's a very good book. It's
expensive.
Yeah, a good book can cost money. The Gao Ying way is a very good way. It's maybe not the best way, but it's a very good book. And they all this thing is about the bow shoulder, but they don't talk that much about the draw shoulder, but it's still very good. But as I said, it's a good book.
But as you say, there are a lot of books just talking about the drawing hand and the drawing and release. So maybe it's not a bad idea to have a book which talks of the other side of the...
I think even Gao Yin should or saw it for sure as a holistic thing, that you include your whole body. Then you can't emphasize only on one thing and forget all the other things, more or less. Not that they forgot it, but you know, this it's one way, it's one good way, Chinese way to shoot a bow, but there are others, and I think it's not the best, but that's me.
Yep. So as we talked before, if you strictly train this method, it's also a good way, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
No problem.
So do you have another one, or the only one is the Bible you have left?
No, yes, I have the Bible left. Yes.
Oh yeah, that's a great book.
There's a wrong. See, Chinese ring daggers, because we are loving blades.
Yeah.
There's a book about the Chinese ring daggers and how you should use them. It's not very informative, but because I like daggers. I like daggers with the ring on the back.
Are these the same like this Japanese kunais?
Yes, a little longer, not so pronounced. Simply like daggers, and they have this ring at the end that you can put it on the finger. You can swivel it around. You have more reach when you attack someone, or you have even when you swing both, then you have like a metal shield in front of you. So it's really it's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm a fan of all these martial arts. I can tell you. Okay, so let me look. Yeah. Sorry.
You first. I have two more.
Let me see. Okay. This one is by Tim Wilcox.
Okay.
And it's called The Art of Making Self Bows. It's a book especially made for, these wood carvers and self-bow makers. Very nice book. Very, with pictures, how you split the logs and how you do everything, and how you carve the bow tip knobs and so on. A very good book. I don't know if it's still available, but it's a great book. I love
I
to
think they
read.
always will have a revival because these books are nowadays more, or there are more interested people now than they were 20, 30, 40 years ago. So I think they are quite, quite interesting. Yeah. Okay, me again.
Yeah.
I have one I need to read now. Not that I pronounce his name wrong, because I don't, of course, have not American books here. It's from Adam Svoboda, and it's The Art of Shooting a Short Reflexed Bow, which is a very, very interesting one. So he did a lot of study and a lot of experimenting for himself. So there you see him when he stands there and shooting.
Yeah.
Very good. And he shows, of course, thumb release. What else could you expect? And with a thumb ring and stuff like this. It's very interesting, but so here you see him standing. But of course, he said, so once you decide that you start shooting thumb release, don't change and only shoot thumb release. And this is then for me, again, a little too limiting, because I like to have my options open, and I like to be maybe not the best with thumb release, but I want to be very good in all different ways of things. So for me, it's more a combination. But it's really, really worth reading. So if you're into thumb archery and thumb release, this book is really interesting. Adam
Looks
Svoboda.
good. Looks good. Well, I mean, I have to say something about it. You know, you're a special guy. You're totally into martial arts. You're trying this and that and making a lot of entertaining and how-to videos. So it's a very. I think that he's also right if he says, if you do this, do justice. Because if you really want to become good for a usual person, not a guru like you, who is able to do anything, it's a joke. But it's not wrong what he says.
Of course not. I didn't say that it's wrong. It's simply for me too limiting. Because what happens, just in case, we are now in a we can get back in a time where you need to shoot your bow and arrow, let's say, because they take all rifles away. Like in America, they take now all the guns away. You can keep your bow and arrow. So, and I'm no thumb shooter. And for whatever reason, I hurt my thumb.
Yeah.
So, but I'm still on whatever, on a raid or whatever. I still need to kill a few, and I can't use my thumb. So what shall I do? If I would know now how to shoot 3 fingers or whatever Slavic, I'm in a better position. When I only can use my thumb and this thumb is gone, I'm screwed. So then I can throw my bow away. So it's
same if you're a both hand shooter with a gun.
Exactly.
So you hurt this one hand, you can shoot with the other hand. Exactly. Of course.
So that's why for me that's why. But of course, when you start archery, always I have a few here that try then this and this and this and said, listen, first shoot one style, stick with 3 fingers until everything is in your muscle memory, and that means at least 1,000 proper shots. Repetition, that you get it in your muscle memory. Once you get one thing right, then switching to another style or another technique is easy. Because you can adapt. Your body knows how to adapt then. But when you don't even know exactly what you do with 3 fingers, and I know what to shoot my thumb, but now I want to shoot Slavic, and now I want to. It's counterproductive.
I'm sure you would agree. It's like we started. We didn't know how to do it, and so we tried everything, and we couldn't get to a good result. Until we found out, okay, I do this way, and then you get to result, and then you can switch, as you say. Yeah. Good idea.
That's why. Good. You?
Okay, let me look.
You have one more?
Oh, I have a lot.
I didn't say that.
I have here a book by Keith C. Schuyler. It's called Archery from Gold to Big Game. So it's about target archery to hunting.
Okay.
And you see famous archers, how they draw, how they anchored, and so on, and I don't know, it's a lot of stuff inside, how you build an archery range and everything. it's a kind of standard work, as you like to call it, with every aspect of archery inside.
Nice.
In a very sort of a very rare book today.
One question for you, because we got one comment on the last one, and somebody said, listen, on no sugarcoating or whatever, but I am completely wrong about hunting. I don't know what I said, which offended him that much. And he said, you know, if we would not hunt now whatever whitetails or whatever, then we would have too many, and then they would starve and whatever and stuff like this. So that he thinks that the human race needs to balance out nature. And my answer was simply, maybe this happens only because the human was changing the natural environment of these animals. If they could live still as they lived before, and nature takes care of it, we would not need to hunt them down because we would have too many of this or too many of that. I mean, we see everywhere monoculture and stuff like this. Of course, it causes problems. And this might maybe one problem because the human or men think they need to regulate these things. And then they get the problems and then they justify, okay, now we need to kill more because we have too many. What's your take on this?
It's very simple for me. If you look into Europe or in dense populated areas, you have to hunt because there are no natural enemies of the deer. You can let them starve or let them die by age, but you know, no problem. That you wouldn't like it, and you like to eat the meat and so on. But in natural habits, in the Yellowstone or in southern, you know, in Brazil, in the Amazon or somewhere, of course it regulates by its own. But as soon as the human population gets too dense, too thick, you have to do it. And there are also other interests. And you know, there's an interesting thing about Europe. I dare to say, if in Germany or in Austria, where we are from, if there would be no hunters, there would be no game, because the farmers don't like the game. They ruin their, you know, their crop, their you know, their, you know what I mean, their harvest. The foresters don't like game, don't like deer, because you know they kill the trees by putting the bark off and eating the young. You know, if you have a young tree, they feed it. So it's only in dense populated areas.
So it's the human interest, because they interfere with human interest or profit.
Yes, but your idea, not your idea, how you said it, because the humans started to intervene into nature. But the humans are part of the nature.
So, but why I mean, when you see other old cultures, like say the Aborigines, they don't interfere, they simply live with nature. They don't regulate nature.
No, they interfered. Of course.
They live with it, but they are part of it.
Yes, we live with it too.
Yeah, but we change it.
They changed it too.
Okay.
Because, you know, in Northern America, there were Indian tribes. They also, the Anasazi, or how they called, they devastated the land. It's not, okay, they live by nature, but what else could they do? And we also live by nature. So I disagree to say the human is not part of the nature. And if the human is a factor, a force in the nature, so it's legit.
Why?
To, as long as you protect the animals and say, okay, I like to hunt deer also in 1,000 years,
So
I protect them, and I look at the population. Everything is
from
good.
What you just said, that in our dens they don't have any predators, so they could live or have even more population.
But in these small areas where our forests are in Germany, as in Austria, you have to have a kind of game management, deer management. If you just let them populate and grow and grow and grow and grow.
But on the other side, maybe if we let it, then maybe we get the wolves back and the bear back, and then they will take care of it.
What is the advantage if you have the wolf and the bears back?
That they can take care of each other and balance it out, so they don't need a human.
Yes, but you won't let your child go out into the woods if there are bears and wolves and so on. And there's one anyway. I'm sure there's one good reason there are no wolves in our European countries,
which is
because they're dangerous, of course.
Of course, your cars are dangerous too. Go out on the street.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But there's nothing wrong about to say, I protect the animals and I like every species to live on, and I hunt some of them.
Yeah, but why do we think we know how many or how much or where and when? Where, since when is the human being so much more sophisticated than by itself?
Okay, I mean, but if you're thinking your thought to the end, you have to go back up into the tree. So
don't come from
human civilization involves this.
But we still don't come from a monkey, so
no. But how we have a dense population, a big population in Europe, let's say.
Okay. Yeah,
and we have small
of this now, don't worry.
Yeah, and we have small forests and areas.
Yes,
and if we like to keep
that, didn't we have bigger forests before we started cutting all the forests away? And then we we cut 90% of the forests away because we need it for whatever. And then we tell, oh, look, now we have too many deer because the forest is not big enough. So this is what I mean, that
you're right. But if you, but there's only one other way. You can say, okay, we are highly dense populated, and it's in Europe, and we need these fields and the crop to feed our people. Or you can say, okay, we make no field, we let it to the animals. But that worked back then, where the people were hunters and gatherers.
But look at example to America, how much of corn they produce and they really use, and how much they throw away because they don't know what to do with it. But they have these huge industrial farming. For reason.
I don't say everything what is happening today is good, but to say hunting is evil or not
didn't
good.
Say that. When I'm hungry and I eat meat and I shoot something and eat it, then it's fine.
Okay, and do you really think that only one single hunted animal in Europe is wasted?
I don't know.
Every part of this meat is the people eat. I am a hunter myself, and you know what? I mean, you go out into the woods with rifle or bow, it doesn't depend. And you're challenging the animal, you stalk the animal, and you kill it, and you field skin it, and you put it at home, and you're roasting the fresh liver, and you sit with your hunting buddies. That's the point when I remember where I come from. Why human civilization was able to grow.
Okay.
And even in Africa, if they shoot an elephant,
Mm-hmm.
no grain of this meat from this elephant is wasted because it will get eaten.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So nobody hunts just for, yes, even if
You're
a
the one who
hunter
shot the
says
lion. You don't eat lion, right?
they eat lion,
Yeah.
they
Okay.
eat lion. And another thing is you can't what's the problem with a lion?
I don't know. Shooting for
There's
my problem is hunting as a sport. When you hunt because it's necessary that you have food on the table, or like we said once with Ted Nugent, he bought this big forest and he has his own whitetails in, and then he goes in, he shoots one and he grills it, fine. But simply hunting for fun, that I kill an animal just for the satisfaction of killing something.
nobody does it.
Okay.
Nobody does it.
No good.
Even if you're a trophy hunter, you hunt the trophy animal, the meat will be used.
Mm-hmm.
You pay a lot of money, and
Mm-hmm.
in the good places in Africa,
Mm-hmm.
where hunting isn't prohibited but supported and cultivated, they shoot an elephant. That guy pays, let's say, $80,000 for shooting an old elephant cow.
Mm-hmm.
And this money gets back to the tribes
Mm-hmm.
where they live. And maybe you read it in my book about Kenya, where they prohibited hunting. And that's true. That's true. So the hunters keeping the wild animals alive. That's a fact.
Okay. Good.
They protect them.
Good.
A nice subject, as you
I
see.
see that you go up in this, yes, but we are not done yet with the books. I was just because this came just in my mind. So my second last book I have is The Composite Bow, and it's a nice one by Mike Loads.
Yeah, looks
and
great.
This is really so from the beginning and from the different shapes of all these, from the Assyrian bows to how they made them with horn, sinew, wood, and what and not. It's really interesting. And then, of course, even when you string them the first time, you need these braces and stuff like this, and how to shoot. So this is a really informative book about all the materials they used, and then how they shot the bows and stuff like this.
Oh, yeah.
I can't help but shoot it again with thumb.
Nice drawings. Yeah, yeah. Nice drawings inside, as I see.
Yeah, it's drawings, but of course, even the practical side, so they even do what they say. So it's not that they had some findings in old history books and didn't know what to do. They really show how it's done. So this is a very interesting book if somebody is interested in composite bows in general. This one by Mike Loads, and it's not very thick, so it's a quick read, but it's very informative.
Looks good. Okay, so
next book.
May I show you another one?
Of course.
Let me have
Bring
a look.
it on.
There I have from one great author, D.E. Donald Thomas Jr. This one is called Longbow Country. It's about bow hunting. Great. He's a good writer. There are some how-to books and so on, and they are very informative. But this one is also a really good writer, so you would enjoy to read it.
Okay.
Because it's very good written.
There's another one. This is what they say in writing. Either the writer or the reader needs to put an effort in it, and it should be the writer. That the reader has a pleasure to read.
That's by the same author. It's called The Double Helix. It's bow hunting African plains game. It's about bow hunting in Africa. Very good book, same author. Longbows in the far north, same author. Very great hunting novels, but true stories, but very well written.
Okay.
One of my other first books is by Al Henderson, a classic, On Target for Understanding Winning Archery. It's a small book, but it's a lot on the mental side, how you behave in competition, and a lot also in Olympic archery, and so it's a good book. One of my favorite books by Fred Anderson is The Traditional Way, and it's like my Legends in Archery book. Every chapter is about one interesting or famous archer, and you see how they shoot, their shooting form, and their equipment, and so on. You see, this is Frank Eichholz, the guy who first put fiberglass on bows.
Does he shoot some release there, huh?
Yes, he.
See?
No, he invented a kind of release aid. Back then, before the days of the compound bow, he experimented with recurve bow and release. Like, yes, he was also influenced by Eastern archery. He was a recurve bow guy. Let me see what we have now.
I have to say quickly something about this book again, because I wanted to mention it and I forget it. The title is The Way of Archery. And this is what I think, it's a little, it's one way of archery. It may be a good way for archery, but it's not the only one. And when you see this, the way of archery, you think, okay, forget everything else. This is the only one. It's not true. So that's why titles sometimes could be a bit misleading.
Yeah, but you don't know, maybe it was an original title of an old book. So maybe not this author titled this The Way, but I don't know.
It's an interpretation. I mean, it's still a translation, and this is their own thoughts put into it. And if this Gao Ying was so full of ego that he calls his own style The Way of Archery, okay, might be.
Marketing,
Yeah, of course. The forgotten and the reinvented, and we had this.
One other classic I have to show you, most know it, it's Winds of Change by Jim Hamm, a classic, also about bow hunting, about making strings and everything you can find in it, arrows, bows, everything. Both from the past to today, and so on. A very good book by Jim Hamm.
I have one left. I showed it already a little because we are talking about hunting. Dun dun dun.
Oh yeah,
it's a modern classic, I would say. This is at least some modern literature which is about real archery, because what you can read nowadays is like the Hunger Games and whatever, all these fictional
and historic
stuff,
novels,
and all this stuff. But this is at least really about hunting, about archery, with a little thought into it, about this all what you put all in it. And I just saw today your post that the new book is finished now.
Yes, I think I will one more week, and then I can publish it.
Very good.
I'm able to publish it. I have to correct it and put it into the,
Always a lot of work.
Yes. As you mentioned it, I tried here, archery isn't the biggest part of this book.
No.
But everything I talk about or write about archery, I think is true. And I think is realistic to do.
Yep.
And so I'm kind of proud, because I wanted to make a book not only for the archers, but for a broader variety of readers, and so you can
bring the
only
realistic
focus
archery
on archery,
and not the fancy archery where they're supposed to shoot 200-pound bows, like the Green Archer or the other one.
That's in the second part, or the second book.
Okay.
You will love it, because there are virgins who are doing archery, a kind of, a kind of monastery with.
Why do you think I would love this?
I thought so because you are for the spiritual way of archery.
Yeah, then I need to tell you quickly, you know that I was into tea ceremony, Chinese tea ceremony. I do this,
Yeah,
and I like this
saw
tea.
the picture.
And then once I heard the story of a very special tea, and you need to imagine now you're in the mountains in China and it's very foggy, and in the morning, before the sun really goes up, only virgins go there on this tea plantage, and they pick the very thin, very fragile first leaves of this tea, but not with their fingers, with their mouth. Like,
oh, that sounds.
And I thought
that sounds like an expensive tea.
Yes, it's very expensive. And I think it was when I was in Wudang, then this Wudang master told us this story. I forgot where I knew it from, and I told directly to my friend, "Listen, we need to go there. The only thing which will happen is that there will be no virgin left, but at least we saw it."
That would be my next question. Who controls if they are virgins?
Yeah, I would have checked it, because
that would be a nice job for you.
When you do journalistic work, not like nowadays what mainstream media does, they get paid to write a story. I would be a journalist and I would go to the bottom of this problem and will do my research properly, of course.
Research in depth.
In depth, yes, in very depth. Yes.
I understand. Well, that's. I see you don't have too crazy. You have nice ideas.
At least I take, and because I take journalism, if I would do it very seriously, not like almost every mainstream Schreiberling is doing it now. So, something else you have to tell us about the second book of your trilogy? No, yes. I hold it up so people can write it down, and then you really need to order it, guys. Is there an English version coming? Question?
Yeah, a good friend of mine is at work to translate the first volume to English. So I don't know when it will
for the American people, English-speaking people.
I think so too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The second one is out soon, so very well. Good. I'm done with my books.
I have a lot more.
What you mentioned, of course, Eugen Herrigel, Zen in the Art of Archery is interesting to read. And this book brought even a few people to the archery range that I read this book, and then
a lot of
how it is. So that's interesting. Of course, it's a Japanese way of shooting, so it's a little different, but it's fine. It sparkles interest in people, so it's fine.
As you say, and even if there are, as they know today, many things are wrong inside this book or not so true, it is a good book because you get the feeling, the spirit of archery. You understand it, what they think about Zen in archery and so on. So Eugen Herrigel was a lot discredited after nowadays, and so but it's still a great book about archery.
Yes, definitely.
So I have a lot more to show you. Do we have time?
Yeah, go quickly through it. When you see me look at me. When you see me like this, and I start drooling, then I fell asleep. Then we should maybe stop.
Okay.
But as long as I have my eyes open, it's fine. Yeah,
So there's one reprint of a very famous archery book, the Book of Archery, by George Agar Hansard. So even Sexton Pope relates to Hansard. Hansard wrote, and so very great book. Great book. This one is by Paul C. Hogan, and it's the Encyclopedia of Archery. Also a great book. Everything is, encyclopedia, like a lexica, like where you can find everything inside it. Okay, so I will go faster.
I didn't know that you have so many books.
I think we can make another show. Bow and Arrow by G. Howard Gillian, about target archery, bow hunting, bow fishing, everything you can imagine. Great work. Oh, they are my darlings. of course, a booklet, Archery Adventures,
nice.
with Howard Hill. Great pictures inside. Howard Hill on horseback and hunting jaguar with the bow and arrow. Also drawings, you see. Very nice.
Yep.
And this little thing costed about $100. This is in English, a British edition of Howard Hill's Wild Adventure. Very nice book. You see on the past, it's a lot about, of course, about hunting and African adventures and Wapiti, elk hunting and so on. Great book.
Yeah, I think your book, these legends in archery, is very interesting too, because you bring, I think, almost all of these ones in your book.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to spend the time to read individual books, get this book, Legends in Archery, then you get at least an overview of all these famous archers.
Yeah. That was my idea, because I always had the wish. I always said to myself, oh, I wish there would be one book out where I can find all these legends kind of comprimated, or how you call it, and so on.
And when it doesn't exist, you need to write it. It's quite simple.
You need to do it, So if one is interested in Howard Hill's style of archery and how it works, is by Bob Wesley. It's traditional archery adventures, how you shoot, how you hunt. Very good book about hill archery. And then one of the best by John Schultz, Hitting Them Like Howard Hill, the method, how it's called, Hill's Basics of Shooting and Hunting.
Okay.
You see here pictures inside, how trick shooting and so on.
One can see where you got your inspiration from.
Yeah. And here's one by Herter's Archery, who was a kind of archery stuff producer like Bear Archery, but not so big, but like Browning, Bear, Pearson, one of the big archery companies. It's professional and amateur archery tournament and hunting instructions and encyclopedia.
Wow.
A lot of stuff inside. You see how you field dress deer, how everything inside. Very nice. How the meat is parted and so on. So then we have here the wonderful book of Craig Eakin, who is the today's owner of Howard Hill Archery in Montana. Howard Hill, the man and the legend. Nice book about Howard Hill. Of course, he is Byron Ferguson's Become the Arrow.
This I read.
By itself.
This I read. It was an interesting read. Yes. I forgot. I mean, some books crossed my, but I don't have them anymore. So but this was interesting too.
And you know, Byron Ferguson is a, how you call it, a non-nonsense guy. He's a bow hunter, so he's very pragmatic about everything. And as if you read it, you know,
he's straightforward.
Jokes around. It's like it is. There's another.
I saw once. Can I close? There was. I saw a video when Byron Ferguson was with Henry Botnick at Bear Paw. And
I was there.
Henry Botnick had his issues, I think, with this straightforwardness of Byron Ferguson. Botnick was completely, I think, was a bit too much for him to deal with this personality or to deal with this character.
Now, you know, Byron Ferguson is as cool as he appears. He is really that cool guy. He had one nice joke. They said, "Oh, you can hit an aspirin in the air, you know, an aspirin tablet, and how many tries you need to hit it." And I know it because I've seen it in person. From 5 throws, he hits it 3 times. But his answer was to this guy, you know, I would hit it every shot, but my woman needs some throws to get into.
Of course.
Nice guy, great guy, great guy. And you know, he's a kind of like that good American you love to know. He invented me hunting. Come over to the Goodman Ranch to Tennessee. Let's hunt. And I flew over and we hunted together and so on. And he's such a cool guy. No question about that.
I hope that we get him soon here in the show.
Yep.
We work on that, guys. So be patient.
Of course. Here's another edition of Howard Hill's Wild Adventure. You see, great thing. Let me see. Of course, here's Howard Hill's own Hunting the Hard Way, classic. And there are pictures inside how you see how you make strings and stuff, and also very nice. Let me see. Of his shooting style, how he anchors, how he does everything. And what is also nice is there are a lot of drawings, nice drawings inside.
Yep.
Not only photographs, but
yeah, I get these books and only look at the photos and the drawings because I am too lazy to read.
No problem. No problem. So what? Oh yes, one other big guy in kind of Howard Hill style was Bob Swinehart, and this is a wonderful, wonderful book. It's called Sagittarius, and there are a lot of big pictures inside from hunting in Africa and hunting shark and everything. And the hill style equipment, you see the broadhead, the bow, the quiver, the arrow, everything about it.
Good.
Yeah.
If there is now one, okay, you're not done yet. Okay, then continue.
Oh, I have
the important ones, not all of them. Don't show your whole library.
One of the most important ones is, of course, Legends in Archery.
Of course.
This one is also available in English by Schiffer Publishing in Pennsylvania, and every chapter is about one archer. It's a kind of short biography. Here's a chapter about Sasha Seymour. You see?
Okay.
And yes, it's still available. You reach some archers you don't know. You reach, for example, made the quiver and the stuff partly for the Robin Hood movie with Errol Flynn.
Okay.
So they were kind of community who worked together in these days back then. Nice. Let me see if I have another interesting one. Here's one by Bob Swinehart. It's very expensive. It's called In Africa, and you can't find it anymore. There are big pictures inside.
Okay.
You know what? I have a lot more of these books. Maybe we make a second part about it.
Yeah, we make a second part because we are really now already in, I think, more than 1 hour, so we should maybe come to an end soon. Only one question: if you could only recommend one book for a guy who wants to start archery, who is already in archery, which would be your choice? Only one.
That's a hard one.
Of course,
it's a hard question.
This is how they know me.
Okay, if I put all these how-to books away, because there are thousands how-to, you have. So, if you really get into the spirit of archery, and also a little about hunting, it's Saxton Pope's Hunting with the Bow and Arrow.
I thought so.
It's very romantic written. You feel the heart of archery in this book.
Okay.
And it's an old one, and it's an all-time classic, I would say.
Nice. For me, from my side, it would be still Chinese Archery from Stephen Selby, because this is this wide overview what China had to offer in regards of archery in all dynasties and whatever. He really dug very deep, and he translated a lot of text and how-tos and manuals and parts of it. That, as example, Qigong, this mental breathing was always mandatory for the archers. at this time in China, that they had to do this internal practice to gain this strength, this internal strength and stuff. So it's very interesting for everyone who is interested in any kind of Asiatic archery. So this would be for me, this is your first overview. You have your Gao Ying within as one version, not the way of archery, but at least as one way. That's really interesting. So this would be my choice.
I have to apologize because I'm not that much into Eastern archery. I'm a Western archery guy, so
that's why I'm here on this side. Don't you worry, I get you covered.
I see. Okay, and so I recommend that kind of books,
of course,
and so on.
I never read almost anything of your books because I'm not so into hunting, and that's why we have. But we still shoot bow and arrow. But it's interesting that you see from a different perspective which book would be recommended. So that's why it's fine like it is. Don't worry. You don't have to apologize that you can't, that Asiatic archery is not for you. Don't worry. You all shoot bow and arrow.
But I admire it, of course, because since I got in contact in Korea, and so with this all Eastern archers, with Murat and so on.
Yeah, of course. He's such a funny guy. He's like a bear, like such a humongous
big guy, very handsome,
funny.
Big guy.
He's so funny.
And I always joked about it. I said always to him, "Oh, he's very stylish gentleman, like." Oh no, you are with your jacket and so.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah. Maybe we can get him too.
That would be interesting. Yeah. Yeah, you met him, so you spoke to him. I only know him from Facebook and Instagram, so
yeah, I will try to get him. Yeah. Okay. Good. So what are your further plans for today? You drive to your beautiful
the messy with all these books.
to your girlfriend. You drive over.
Not today. No.
So
you came from it, and I got my computer back finally. I will upload maybe another video, because I am a little behind with my videos because of computer problems.
But don't get too far from nature. You have to stay connected to nature.
Don't worry, I'm always connected to nature, because even this house is nature.
Really?
Of course. My roots go very deep, don't you worry.
Let me see. Oh, yeah.
Down there's everything very deep, don't you worry. But I don't have a wide angle lens on my computer. That's why I can't show it.
So I can't see your roots. A rooted guy.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So another short question. Is there anything we have to answer according to the comments or
I simply don't know, because I didn't read them because of my computer problem. And only on the phone screen you go gaga. You know, when you're on the telephone and you try to read and everything, it's like, so I didn't read now. But you guys, if you have questions, simply write them now in the comments. And
and today we don't talk a lot about politics and the virus and so on. So we were nice guys today.
We listen to people, but we don't care, but we listen. We care, but we don't always follow to every suggestion, because when you see in the comments, there were so many that said, "Oh, thank you that you were talking about different things," or "I'm not the only one thinking that there is maybe something a little play with this COVID or something." And others say, "Please, when you don't have any idea and you don't know and you're not a virologist, you should shut up." And it's simply, everybody can have an opinion, and my opinions are usually based on either experience, or I get
logical thinking,
critical thinking, which is not a very common thing anymore, and I get information from trustworthy sources. So if, as we were talking today, somebody mentioned then as a source the ZDF, the German official broadcast television channel. This is a source and he thinks this is a source for proper, real information. Then thank you.
Yeah, and I want to mention one thing more here, because on the other hand, a lot of this so-called conspiracy theorists or conspiracy guys making the other mistake and believing every of the conspiracies. That's also wrong. You have to choose your logical thinking,
your
your
level of
critical.
craziness. Yes, of course.
Yeah. Because I also don't think that the rich ones are eating babies. I don't believe it.
Because it's why don't you believe it?
Because I don't believe it. But I agree that there are a lot of pedophiles, maybe. That
But where is the limit? Once you have, as I said, it's always about the kick. And once you're a pedophile and you have always younger, and I don't know, I mean, how worse it can get in your brain for your needs to be satisfied again. So that's why I don't know. I think there is no end in this. I mean, we had cannibalism and stuff like this. I don't know.
I don't believe, because it's a very different thing. I don't get into trouble, but this pedophile thing is of course a cultural thing, because in Africa there are 13-year-old or 12-year-old girls are married, and we have another law and we have another culture, and so this is a different theme by itself. Of course, don't talk about children, that's another thing. But these are real perverts in that case, of course. So yes, but not pedophile, not that. You don't should believe everything of the conspiracy theories, but also stay critical, like you stay with the ZDF. Stay critical also with the conspiracies. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay, fine.
So
I'm happy. I find it funny that some of the recent conspiracy theories turn out to be now the truth and the reality, and people still don't see it.
This viral thing put a lot of how you call it, water on the wheels of the conspiracy theorists,
because they were right. In this regards, they were right. And some people tell others since more than 10 years that this is going to happen, and conspiracy theorists. And now, because now they reach a point where they suffer, and they suffer a lot, now they open up and, okay, maybe there is something wrong. But when you show them before, look here, no.
And it's funny, because even 5 years ago, when I heard about this guy believing in chemtrails, airplanes flying and putting something into the air and so on, I thought that's crazy. But now there's a new plan, and it's official, it's no conspiracy, by Bill Gates to bring out some particles into the atmosphere to reflect the sunlight to prevent climate change. Because of the corona crisis, there are less particles in the air who reflect the sunlight out, and so the earth gets quicker warm. Crazy. So now even this conspiracy theory gets true. It's really crazy.
And
really
many
crazy.
more to come, don't you worry. But it's a crazy world we live in. We have to deal with it. Okay. Done for today.
Was a great talk.
Yes, I had a lot of books. I didn't expect that. I'm not that big of a book reader, but
that was only the half of them. One half of my books.
A better half.
Let's make another one.
We make another one to a later time. Yes.
Because if we have them through, I can put them away.
Exactly. Okay.
Great.
Then
so
you
folks,
next time, same place, same station as usual.
Subscribe to our channel.
Of course.
Push the bell button. Like our video.
Write in the comments.
And write us lovely comments as we like it.
We need some hugs.
And we don't read them.
Yeah, we read them, but only this recently I didn't read because of my last Wednesday my computer died, or Thursday, I don't know, Wednesday I think, and then it was simply turned black and no idea what happened. Now it's at least working again, and only working on a phone. It's not going to work with me. So
I agree. I totally agree.
I tried to upload a video on my phone. I started Saturday at 8 o'clock, and this afternoon I was finally done with the video. 3.5 days, which normally takes 5, 6
that's
hours.
crazy. That's crazy.
It's not going to. This not going to happen
that's
again.
Crazy.
Yep.
Okay. So goodbye. Shoot straight.
Shoot straight.
Take care.
Stay calm. The
Stay
next
calm.
battle will be one of. Yeah, but we talk about this another time.
Stay connected with nature.
Of course. You turn on the tap water runs out. It's from nature, so.
Yeah. Yeah. We can't get disconnected from nature.
Exactly. We are part of nature.
And when we die, we are even better connected to nature because we feed the worms.
Exactly. And they grow something again, and then we are appearing again and again. Yeah. In different shapes.
They grow another worm like we are.
Yes. Exactly. And we warm around.
Warming around.
Was fun.
Goodbye, Armin.
Was very interesting. Have a nice one. See you all next time. Ciao,
See
ciao.
you.
Bye-bye.
See you. Goodbye. Goodbye.